This is the Brisbane Lions podcast with Keegs and Ollie. Today we're lucky enough to be joined by the great Daniel Merrett, who's going to talk to us about his life after footy, what he got up to with the AFLW team, and also what he's doing now with the men's team too. He's also going to tell us about the impact Chris Fagan has made on the club in his short time. Let's do it. All right, Ollie, welcome to the 7th episode of the Brisbane Lions podcast. How you going, mate?
Yeah, good, Keegs. Hard to believe it's the 7th one, but we're getting through them all, so
It's flying
good
quickly.
to be here again.
Sure. And it's a very special one because we're actually joined by Dan Merrett on the phone tonight. Dan, how you going?
Yeah, going well, boys. How you going?
We're good, mate. Thanks so much for joining us. I suppose the listeners and ourselves are pretty interested in what your new role with the club is now that you've retired. Can you tell us a bit about what you've been doing?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to get approached by Dave Noble and Chris Fagan. I actually got a call from Chris Fagan. He hadn't actually got the job yet, but he just wanted to know before he signed up what was going on in the club, and he was pretty excited to get involved. So I touched base with him then, and then when he got to the club, I obviously caught up with Dave Noble, who I'd actually met before because I got put up there was trade rumours, and I got put up for trade a few years back, and it looked like I was going to go to Adelaide, where Dave Noble was, and Ben Rutten had just retired, so they thought, here's an easy replacement. So I was like, yeah, sounds good to me. I spoke to Mark Ricciuto, and he was saying, mate, in his squeaky voice, he's like, mate, how would you like to play in front of 50,000, mate, and play some finals for the end of your career? And I was like, yeah, that sounds brilliant, Roo. So, it was all good to go ahead, but they didn't actually have a coach at this stage.
Yeah, okay.
So we were kind of waiting for that to happen, and they appointed Phil Walsh, and he wasn't as keen. He just wanted to go a little bit different direction, that's footy. And I ended up staying at the Lions. So I was going off a bit off track a bit here, but now lucky enough to get approached by the guys, and I was always keen to stay involved in the club. When it's been such a big part of your life for 15 years, it's hard to step away and not be involved at all. So I was still pretty keen to stay involved, and at the moment my role is I'm actually working with the key forwards and key backs on a really part-time basis. So I come in once a week, sometimes twice a week, just to spend a bit of time with that, and that's mentoring as well, off field as well as on field, doing body positioning. And then also work with the academy as well. We've got a couple of really young guns coming through, big guys, Connor Bellington one, and Jack Payne in defence. So Connor's a forward ruckman and has been playing really, really good footy. And Jack Payne, well, he got the MVP for the Lions Academy. He's been nearly best on ground every time he's been out there. So they were actually saying they had to, with Jack Payne, because he's been playing fullback so well, the recruiter started saying to play him out of position, so opposition teams didn't get wind of how well he'd been playing, so we don't have to give up too much in the draft time. But I think the cat's out of the bag with Jack Payne, and he's a star. So I just do those two things. Stay involved with the club around the welfare stuff. So I'm doing a course with the welfare team about its career, like a career path development. It's quite funny because I'm doing a career path development of like helping other people find their career path, where I'm still up in the air with mine. So mine's not locked down solid as well. But I'm hoping through that process, I'll find my calling, and with everything, like what did I want to be when I grew up? I probably left high school not knowing. But I love the sporting area, and I was lucky enough to go on to play footy for 14 years. And then I finish, and it's like, oh, righto, what was that you wanted to be when you grew up? And still haven't locked anything down, but yeah, it's definitely something in the sporting area. At the moment, I'm really enjoying my coaching that I do with the boys, but I also was an assistant coach with the women's team as well, and also do some kicking and catching with the Broncos.
Oh, nice. The Broncos as well.
Yeah. So how that all ended up about, I was in this salad shop called Botanica on the north side, and I ran into Gordy Tallis. He was in there getting a salad as well. You would have thought Gordy Tallis would be down the burger shop or something, but in the salad shop, Gordy was in there, so we started chatting, and he said, what are you up to? And I was just doing the women's at that stage. And he said, mate, give Wayne Bennett a call. Like, they need kicking and catching practice, because they actually bombed out last year. Late in the year, they kept dropping all these these catches, and it cost them games. So I ended up getting Wayne Bennett's phone number, and I just gave him a call. And I was just like, hey, Wayne, Daniel Merrett. I kind of had to explain who I was. Yeah. And then he was actually in England at the time, coaching the England rugby team for the Four Nations. So just left a message. He said someone from the club will call me. Next day, someone called, set up an interview, and yeah, I've been down there ever since. Down there a couple of days a week. Just helping out where I can, mainly technique-wise, not so much tactical kicking, but technique kicking and catching. Trying to get the boys to catch it like an AFL player, but it's small steps. So I've just getting them jumping up the ball and attacking it, and getting their knee up as well to try and protect themselves.
Yeah, good one.
Great.
Yeah, it sounds like you got plenty on your plate. So we'll stick to the post-career stuff. It's been a lot of talk in the media, like the programs with SBS Insight. Jace Clark was on it not so long ago, and Courtney Dempsey had some things to say about life after footy. How have you found it getting out of that environment and setting into, I suppose, everyday life?
Yeah, I find it so interesting, the timing of all this, because I'm right in the middle of it. I don't think I've ever heard anything before this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems as though they've waited till I was in this position to start addressing it. So I appreciated it. Yeah. That's for sure. But yeah, I thought, you know what, I've had a long career. I'm very stable off field with my beautiful wife and daughter, and I've got good support of friends and family, and I've got good contacts. I always made sure, along my footy career, I made sure to remember people's names, collect their business cards, stay in touch with them, because you just never know when you're going to need them. And so I thought, I've set myself up pretty well here. And it's the old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I thought, I'll be right here. And then, when I finished, I said, righto, what now? The club stopped paying me. So I was like, okay, I better go get a job.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you want to do? So I pretty much went through every contact on my phone and gave him a call, caught up for a coffee. And yeah, it was kind of like, this is a bit harder than I thought it was going to be. And had I prepared myself as best as I could? And definitely not. I thought I probably could have done a lot more work placement. I maybe could have knocked off a few more courses as well, had a bit more study behind myself. But with that, I suppose I had the opportunity, because in AFL we're pretty lucky that the AFLPA do fund your study. So I had the opportunity, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was so committed on football, and I put all my energy into being the best player I could for as long as possible, that, I probably let that side of things slip and didn't prepare myself well enough for life after footy. So I'm lucky I've got great support around me. But, if I didn't have that, then would be, I'd be in a bit of strife. I'd say.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just interesting. I remember seeing like Libby Trickett. I do actually afternoons. I do a segment on Triple M on Mondays with Libby Trickett, who was on that the SBS show Insight, and she spoke about how hard. Like she's still finding, like 5 years on, she's still trying to find her way on what to do, after professional sport. So it's just, it's just a really interesting conversation of how people handle life after being in that sort of environment. And I think one thing that I found is that it's the silence. It's like when you finish. Footy clubs, they keep rolling and they're looking for next year, and not that you get forgotten, but when you're in it, it is kind of like it's all about you, and you get a lot of attention, and then as soon as you're out, the silence is deafening, and you suppose you're just waiting for someone to call to check on how you're travelling, but the call doesn't come.
Yeah.
So, you really have to be proactive with life after footy. And I remember I've got like I said, great support and great people around me, and they said, "Oh, you'll be right, mate. Just got to be patient. Something will come." And again, like the waiting and the silence, I was like, I do not like the situation, and so, I had to get on the front foot like I did with the Broncos, with Wayne Bennett. I had to get on the front foot, call him. Even with the club, it was kind of they were all obviously reshuffling their coaching staff. So it was kind of I just kept having to bang on the door and saying, hey, can you use me? Can you use me?
Yeah.
And even, I suppose, one of the best things I ever did was the girls' football, where I was like, I didn't know a lot about it, and I wasn't doing a lot at the time, and I thought, you know what, let's have a crack at this. Craig Starcevich, the coach, Craig and I go way back when he was the fitness coach through the early 2000s. When I first came in 2003, he was the fitness guy. So I've known Craig for 15 years, and I said, Craig's a great guy. Let's do this. I'd love to be associated. And I was blown away with just how awesome it was, how engaging it was, and just how popular it became.
Dan, is it comforting to know this conversation has started with life after sport? Because, like you said, it really just has started this year with Four Corners, Insight, and knowing that other athletes are in the same sort of position as you?
Yeah, it is comforting. And then the other side of it, I think, well, we obviously haven't been doing a very good job of it from an AFL Players Association or a club's position as well. That have we been, preparing our team, our teammates for life after footy. What I loved about the girls' footy was that the girls played because they loved footy, and you could tell with their enthusiasm and every time they celebrated a goal and the way they got around each other, and they just loved playing footy. Where I reckon in the boys, I'd say 50% of the boys wouldn't know why they're playing. Yeah, they play because they were good at it, and then they're getting a healthy paycheck. Where I would say half of them wouldn't, like, if you ask them, do you love footy? I think half of them would say, probably not, because you're under so much pressure, and it's actually it's beyond being fun because it's so hard, and the demands on it, and just that constant pressure. It stops becoming fun and more of a business and more of a chore, and like you've got to be. It's competitive, and you want to play against the best at the highest level, but it's also you lose that reason why you played footy growing up is because you love it so much and it was fun and you hung out with your mates. And yeah, it definitely, elite football has lost that that feeling. And yeah, I know, say a young guy like Josh Schache, like I wouldn't say he's having a great time at the moment, because every week, you know, there's an article writing about his future, what he's going to do. He's playing full forward in one of the bottom teams where the delivery, it's not lace out. So you know, it's hard work, and he's got the best defender on him each week. So I feel for guys like him and Eric Hipwood, and even young defenders like Harris Andrews and Dan McStay, where you're under the pump on the field, and then you come home and you're under the pump from from a coach's, the media, your coaches week to week to perform, your family are wondering why you aren't performing because you've always been this gun. And yeah, just the pressures of footy, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, Josh Schache was certainly the name that popped into my head when you were describing that. Well, we might come back to the boys a bit later on, but we'll stick with the women for a sec. Let's get your thoughts and reflect on the season, because it was an amazing season, especially from Brisbane. Really successful year. Tell us what it was like to be involved in, you know, a competition that received so much hype, that gained so much momentum, and for fans, it was really exciting to watch as well.
Yeah, I suppose rocking up and meeting all the girls, and then seeing their skill level, I was like, I remember that first training session. Actually, the whole boys team rocked up. So I reckon there was probably maybe a couple of hundred people at training, maybe 300 people. So there was a bit of noise, and I was just so surprised at how skillful the girls were. And I know so were the boys. And then I remember just a couple of weeks in, training pre-season became a bit of a grind, and you were trying to say that to the girls that, you know, it's hard at the moment, but it's the same with everyone.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then I remember all the odds came out for how well we'd go, and like we were bottom, and it was just like, how, like, you've written us off, and you know, how would you even know how we're going? It's all, no one's seen anyone play before. So we kind of fed off that. It was like, no one rates us up here. Let's get out there, you know, and let's just shock everyone with our intensity, our intent. And I don't know, the group just had some really good leaders.
Yeah. And
they played with such spirit, and it was inspirational from my point of view, from a coach's point of view. It was inspirational, and it was just awesome to be a part of. And I remember that first game, that Carlton Collingwood, and they're saying, you know what, they reckon they can get 10,000, and then it was like, they reckon 15,000. I remember talking to a few of the coaches at the Lions, I'm like, no way will they get 10,000. I mean 15,000. And then to come out and have a lockout, like, it was unreal. And we trained that night as girls, and then we watched the game all together as a team at Yeronga on the TV there, and the girls were like, every time someone scored, the girls were like cheering and like squealing, like they were in the crowd at the game, or they were part of the team that scored. It was just like they were cheering for the other girls, even though they're opposition. And it was just this awesome vibe going around. Even that day, we played GWS at Cooperoo in a practice match, and we packed out Cooperoo. Like people couldn't find car parks or anywhere in Cooperoo, because there were so many people wanting to come. That's when I was probably thinking, oh, this is pretty big. Like, this is a practice game against GWS, and it's a full house here at Cooperoo, which I remember saying, geez, the boys would be happy to get a crowd like this for a match. So it was just this, this game that I think early on there was a lot of doubters, but then in the end, by the end of the season, it just encapsulated everyone. And unfortunately, we just saved our worst game of the season for the last game and most important game of the season. And it was frustrating on that day that Adelaide's best players had their best game. That's never ideal when your opposition players have their best players have the best game. And unfortunately, a few of our girls had a bit of a downer day. But in the end, you know what? Like, everything was kind of against us.
Yeah.
Like, the Crows were snapping these goals from the boundary on the opposite foot, and I was just like, this hasn't happened all year, but why is it happening today? Like, the footy guys just weren't smiling on us, but the girls grinded it out, and in the end, they lost by a goal. And even like we were up against it all day, but they fought it out, and they just had that spirit all year, and it was something I was super, super proud of them.
During the lead up to that grand final, there was a lot of talk about, missing out on not playing at the Gabba. Do you think that had a draining effect on the girls? Like, you don't want to make, I guess, excuses for them because, as you said, it wasn't their best game. But do you think it did have some sort of effect? Because there was a lot of talk about it.
I think I just think the whole build-up was draining for the girls, and they'll be better for it. It probably wasn't ideal, like it would have been. We probably, the week before, I think the Bulldogs game, we won and we earned the right to play in the granny, and then the next week we had Carlton, and it was like, well, this is a nothing game, so it was like the only thing we can get out of this game is injuries.
That's right.
So it was kind of like, where, say, someone like Adelaide, they had to win, and Melbourne had to win, so they were still riding that wave of momentum, and where we had, and it kind of, it was a long period of time knowing we were in the grand final at home, and the build-up was just so long over 2 weeks. We had a game in between, and then like the amount of media the girls were doing, and I suppose. And they would have just had so much attention. That whole build-up would have been draining. And then on top of that, the girls were pretty good. Like, they're a resilient bunch where they didn't really care where we stayed. We ended up staying down the Gold Coast as a team at Royal Pines together, and that was probably something that set our season up. Is we had this shocking draw where we had Melbourne the first week out at Casey Fields, which is like an hour and a half out of Melbourne, is ridiculous. And then we had Freo the next week, so we come home, then have to fight a Freo. And then on a 6-day break, we had Collingwood. So we got stitched up with the draw, but the away trips actually helped us because they bonded as a team while they were away. So us having to travel down to the Gold Coast as a team, stay there the night before, stay together, it wasn't that bad. It's just, Adelaide come out, kick a goal within the first 30 seconds, kick another goal, like another snap. It was just, things kind of went their way a bit, and we were a little bit off.
For sure. We might move across. Oh, sorry, Keeks.
I was just going to say, just one more question on the women before we do move on. They've got their, free agency period coming up. Is that something that you'll have much to do with? And do you like our chances of keeping or hanging on to, the Victorian recruits and the interstate players? Because we did have a few.
We had 5, and they were all awesome. Geez, they were good. They brought a heap to the group, and it was great work from the Craig Starcevich and Bree Brock to get those guys up here, which it is a long way to come. I know.
Especially when they're making like, too much money.
No, like Sabrina come from Perth, and to get the Melbourne girls and even the Tassie girls up was awesome. So I won't have much to do with it. I still, Craig will let us in on what's happening with it, and if we're any chance to get anyone up from Melbourne or from those other teams. But I think it's going to be hard. It is hard to move in this period. So from a trade point of view, if you've got to trade someone out and then try and get someone from equal value to come up to Brisbane, from interstate would be quite difficult. So I think I don't think you'll see a lot of movement from that point of view.
Okay.
Our group's actually pretty well placed from an age bracket. A lot of our midfielders and the core of the group are still quite young. Our backline's we've got a couple of key players that are quite experienced in Kasler and Virgo. But but they've still got, like, Leah's still got 5 years in her for sure. So, I think the balance of our group's really, really good. And our two marquees are, 19 and 20 years old. So we're pretty lucky that, our guns are so young and that we're not, not going to be out there looking for anything vital. I think the only thing we're probably missing, we didn't have a super tall ruck. But the girls, they competed so well and it didn't really hurt us in the end. That's probably one. And then maybe just a big body midfielder.
Yeah, for sure.
But the only time that cost us was in the final when Erin Phillips was just dominating. So, and there's no one like her in the competition.
No,
she's absolute beast. There's no other girl in the comp that looks like her. So I think we're sitting pretty well with our list. So it's just about maintaining and I don't know. Yeah, I think if we keep our group together, I think our one of our best assets was that we played with such heart and such spirit. And I wouldn't think changing the group a lot would be the smartest thing, because you'd probably lose that core value.
Okay.
Yeah, and just moving back to the men's side of things, obviously a new era at the club this year with Chris Fagan coming in as coach. How have you seen the start to the Chris Fagan era?
Yeah, very promising in round one, wasn't it? Great start, but I just think he brings a different vibe. He's come from a great system, comes from that teaching point of view, and he's just to give an example. I remember a few of the boys say they were going through transition, so up the field, what do we do? The boys were like, where should I run to now from the back line to forward line, and where should I get to? And a lot of the time, Chris's answer is, mate, just go and play footy. Don't think about it too much. Just go play footy. And he's brought a lot of that and back into the game, and a lot more freedom. And it's going to be, a tough couple of years. We are so young, and our players in those key positions are still, so young, and it'll be, you can try and sell it to the supporters that we're on the improve, but there's still going to be tough times, like you saw on the weekend. So, although the way they started, it could have been, an 80, 100 point loss on the weekend, and they've kept it to 50. So after that first quarter, I think the Swans won by 17 points. So if they don't kick those two late goals, it's 9 points. So it's there's definitely
named Franklin as well.
Yeah, I know, and he's kicking them from 80. So, but see, Dan McStay gets to play on Buddy Franklin, and he learns a heap, and I think Dan McStay, don't know where to play him forward, back, where this year he's found his spot in the back line, and he's settled in that position, and he's learning his craft, and I think that'll help him in the long run. Yeah, he plays on Buddy. He doesn't get 8 kicked on him. Buddy kicks 8, but I reckon he probably got 4 kicked on him.
Yeah.
Which isn't. I reckon I was getting 4 kicked on me weekly, and I was holding my spot. So, it's just going to be, a bit of a tough period. But we've just, these boys, they're coming through together. They're building their own culture. They're learning how to play footy with each other, learning what each other's weapons are and how they can help each other out. And I think what Chris is bringing this year, as well as Dave Noble coming into the club, is a really positive vibe. And I think off field, the club has gotten themselves sorted, and now when that's settled and sorted, now moving forward, the on-field stuff can flourish.
You mentioned Dan McStay, so I just wanted to ask you quickly, when you go into the club, for your 1 or 2 day a week assistant coaching role, what do you say to someone like Dan who's had a rough day, had a lot kicked on him? What do you say to him to sort of, I guess, bring his confidence up? Because no doubt it's rock bottom at the moment. What do you do to him?
Yeah. I'll send a text after the game.
Yeah.
And then, just saying, mate, tough day, but, you have no other choice than to keep your chin up. I think I just spoke about, I said, mate, he's had a bit of a day out. But I liked a few of your contests you had on him. I thought, you know what, you could have absolutely dropped your bundle, and but you hung in there. I thought after half time, he actually kept him pretty quiet and had some really good contests, and then he just got that free kick, which got him rolling again, got Buddy rolling again. So, I think I just said, mate, I'm really enjoying the way you're playing this year. I think you're backing yourself, and you're not just trailing. You're a bit proactive in your positioning, and you're attacking the contest. So, this week you got beaten by a better opponent. But the great thing about footy, you have a couple of training sessions to work on your craft, and then after that, the game rolls around within 6-7 days. So you get to go out there, do it all again, and have a good day. And last week's forgotten about. So it's learning from your mistakes, but it's not just getting hammered about your mistakes. I'm all for just, you've got to keep positive, because the season's too short, and your footy career is too short to be dwelling about your mistakes and getting down on that and depressed about that, because all that'll do is you'll end up in the reserves because you're so worried about your mistakes or doing a mistake or how bad you played last week. You've got to learn from it. Yep, okay. But then it's about moving forward and attacking next week.
So we've got Hawthorn this week. What are some of the things over the journey that the club speaks about regularly when you come up against Hawthorn? Like, what are some of the messages that sort of remained the same over the years you were there as a player and I guess now as a coach?
Yeah. Well, I remember last year at the Gabba, we were in front early, 3/4 time, we're down by 2 goals. So we're in touching distance, and with Hawks, if they get their kicking game going, where they're changing angles and they're controlling the footy, you almost can't get a hold of them. So it's about slowing them up, guarding their short legs, making them get back from the mark and slowing them down. And then it's all about contested footy with the Hawks, winning your one-on-one contests, but then around the middle of the ground, around stoppages, getting in there, getting your hands dirty, and getting the footy our way. So, it's they're gettable. That's the great thing.
Sure.
You could be getting Hawthorn this weekend when they're up and about. We probably got Sydney. They were 0-6, so and then they got attacked by Carlton the week before, so they're going to come out firing. So they'll unfortunately we're just the recipients of that. So this week, the Hawks again, they'll be the ones under pressure. So no doubt they'll come out all guns blazing, but I think somewhere where our group can improve is just weathering that storm. I think the last few weeks first quarter's been blown away by Port, Tigers, and last week Sydney, the bigger bodies at the start of the game. I found oppositions have just been manic early and their intensity's been right up, and we just haven't been able to handle that or slow them down, or even when they come at you, being able to absorb that and then come back at them. So which is just a young group with light bodies against bigger body teams. So I think this weekend, having Fags on our side, he'll know the ins and outs of Hawks, and he'll be pumped for this weekend, no doubt about it. Down in Tassie where Fags is from. So I think tactically this weekend it'll be really, really interesting and exciting to watch. But I think you'll see the boys play with a bit of spirit.
Yeah, Dan, the Hawks have been basically invincible down in Tassie the last, 10 years, but St Kilda did smash them up a couple of weeks ago now. Does something like that, seeing another team beat them down there, give the guys a bit of belief knowing they are gettable down there now?
Oh, no doubt. And it wasn't just, they didn't just beat them. They absolutely smashed them down there. And, without a doubt, that would give any team confidence heading down there to see, they aren't invincible. They're gettable. And, maybe they got caught on the back foot against Saints, but it wasn't just, it wasn't as if like the Hawks only just lost. So they'll be worried about heading down there, no doubt about it, after the last time. And yes, they'll be thinking, you know what, let's redeem ourselves this weekend and play better than we did last time. So they'll come out firing, no doubt about it, and they've got some big bodies in their team. But you know what? I think, with Fags at the helm this weekend, I think he'll have a few tricks up his sleeve that we should be able to surprise a few people and get the win.
It'll be interesting what intel he does bring across from Hawthorn. So obviously, he's credited as being one of the, the brains trust of that, successful era. So it'll be interesting to see what he does do.
Yeah, just being able to know how to shut them down and how to slow them up and how to turn the footy over from them. So, it'll be very interesting one to watch for sure.
All right, Dan. We just got one more question for you, then we'll wrap it up. Thanks again for your time today, mate.
No worries.
You know Josh Schache probably better than most, having spent some time with you, living with you last year. What's your take on, his situation and where things are likely to head at the end of the season? It's definitely the talking point amongst the fans at the moment, so it'd be interesting to get your thoughts.
Is it? Yeah. Oh, look, I think with all young guns, and you saw it with Jesse Hogan, all young forwards, it's just they're just on everyone's lips, and everyone wants to know, and I think his managers trying to do the best deal by him and his family, and I think sometimes managers don't take in account what damage it does to a player, and a young player at that. So
he's clearly struggling.
I think Josh is under the pump. From on the field, just even if he had another year to run on his contract, he's still going to be under the pump because he's. With him and Eric, they're still getting, the number one defenders in the comp who are big bodies, and the boys are still maturing. And plus, unfortunately, they're not getting as many looks at the footy as well. And when they are, it's in a contested situation. So, it's a difficult time for him, and he's definitely under the pump. But I'd hope, I'm hopeful that he will stay. I am. I'd love for him, for his manager and then the club, to come to an agreement soon, just so that's kind of done and dusted, so we can move forward and take a bit of pressure off Josh and
for sure,
getting back, just so he can enjoy his footy again. Because at the moment he's copping it everywhere from social media. to the media during the week, and then when he plays, he's obviously a target as well. So it'll make him resilient. Yeah, this whole process, no doubt, will make him resilient, make him tough. But in the end, you got to remember he's only a 19-year-old kid.
That's
so
right.
it's trying to play key position in a struggling team. So not a struggling team, but a bottom team. So developing team. So it's definitely tough, but these times he'll grow from this, and it'll only make him tougher.
All right, Dan. Well, thanks heaps for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Sorry it's probably gone a bit longer than we originally planned, but good luck with all post-career ambitions that you have, and hopefully we get to chat again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Oz. No worries, boys.